close my eyes and I can see a world that's waiting up for me, that I call my own. Through the dark, through the door, through where no one's been before, but it feels like home. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say I've lost my mind. I don't care if they call me crazy. We can live in a world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make. There's a house we can build. Every room inside is filled with things from far away. Special things I compile, each one there to make you smile on a rainy day. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say we've lost our minds. See, I don't care if they call us crazy. Run away to a world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make. However big, however small, let me be part of it all. Share your dreams with me. We may be right, we may be wrong, but I wanna bring you along to the world I see, to the world we close our eyes to see. We close our eyes to see. Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. A million dreams for the world we're gonna make. For the world we're gonna make.
Hello, everybody. All right. Welcome, welcome. Christine, I don't know why we're showing you as the leader. That's all right.
Crazy.
I love it.
You want me to
It
log
should
out
be
and log in
switching
again?
to me being a speaker.
I can try logging out and logging in again.
Let me try. Do you want to try that? I just don't want to put you on the spot and have you feel like you're the center of attention the whole time.
Nope, I'm gonna do that. Hold on a
Okay.
sec.
Welcome, everybody. As you come in, if you have a word of the year that you've already come up with for yourself this year, feel free to drop it in the chat. You do not need to, but I thought it'd be fun to see if we have any intentions floating around out there already. I have a couple already for this year for myself. So just a basic idea of what you want your focus to be for the year. Christine, I have you on here twice. And that might be why. All
Hold
right,
on one second. Let me just close. I had opened the email on my phone just to print everything.
Okay, that might be
Let me
it.
just see. Nothing like
All right.
me turning this into.
No
Okay,
worries.
take that.
If it doesn't work, I can probably boot you like on both of these and see if that works, and then you can just pop in again. I'm sorry. I'm happy to
Yeah.
see you though.
You too. Let me see. I'm trying to.
All right. I don't know who owner. Oh,
I'm just
all right, we're
jumping off to
switching.
print the workbook.
Hi, Jen.
Hi, sweetie. Like going cray-cray over here.
All right, I'm going to switch to a gallery mode because something is weird with the view on this. So I suggest everybody do that if they would like to, but it's up to you.
Okay.
And if you all wouldn't mind just kind of going on mute for the most part, if I'm very happy to have you pop in, but it just helps with the background noise and distractions and things like that. So everybody can just stay on mute while they're participating. That'd be great. All right, so I have owner. I'm not sure who owner is. I love that. Magic is their word. I love, love, love it. You should come to
Michelle,
Michelle's
it's
Magic Hour
Leslie.
next Monday. Oh, hi.
I don't know why it's
Hi,
coming up like
Leslie.
that. I was just gonna put in the chat, it's me.
I'm so happy you're here, Leslie. So Leslie is going for magic. I love it. And she will be at Michelle's Magic Hour next week. I know because she already signed up. Okay, Allie has elevate. Love it. Izzy has healing, peace, and joy. That's great. Mary, energize. That's a really good word too. And these are all beautiful. Andrea, embrace change. That's perfect for our event this evening. Karen has proactive. I love that. Jennifer, commitment. So if you're just joining, I asked everybody if they had an intention in mind for themselves already this year, a word of the year for 2025, if you wanted to add it to the chat. All right, let's see. All right. Jennifer, to many things, mostly to your growth, the commitment. That's great. Well, growth is where we're at tonight, let me tell you. Today, tonight, and for the next year. This is not going to be a short process. Christine is looking for inner peace, is focusing on inner peace. I love that too. Oh, I love when we all come together. It's so magical. All right, so just a couple of things to note. You can be on camera or off. It is entirely up to you, whatever you're comfortable with. I do love to see your faces, but we are recording and I will be sending the recording out. So if that makes you feel like you don't want to be on camera, I'm cool with that. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat box. And if anything is going wonky or weird with the videos, like feel free to just unmute and tell me something bizarre is going on. I have had that happen from time to time. If you can remain on mute just to eliminate some of the background noises, that's great. So when I scheduled this for an hour and 15 minutes, I had a very different vision in mind for this visioning process. I am going to try to stay to that hour and 15 minutes, but I cannot make any promises. There is a lot of info in this session. So if you need to jump, I totally understand. A recording will be sent out tomorrow so you can pick up where you left off and you won't miss a beat. But I do understand that people have things going on and may need to jump off the video. Hopefully everybody saw it in their email. I sent a copy of the guide. You don't necessarily need it for tonight, but it might help because we'll be going through some of the things that are in there. So if you are a visual person, you'll kind of have that to go along with what we're doing. So whether you want to print it or have it pulled up or whatever, that might be helpful for you. All right, let's see if we have, okay. You are seeking change is my guess because you are here. And also, if I had to guess, well, first of all, you've shared some of these beautiful intentions that you've set for 2025, and I love them. And what those say to me is that you're looking for growth, you're looking for alignment. Maybe you're seeking more happiness, maybe you're seeking more support from those around you, and maybe more support from yourself. Looking for a little bit more love in your life. Again, so much of that comes down to a self-love as well. More fulfillment, but you're here. And I'm so excited because you deserve all of that. Absolutely everything. And I'm here to try to help you achieve all of that. Some of you may have been chasing change for years. Or maybe you've just decided that, you know, everything's been okay, but like now you're ready for something different. You're ready for something new in your life. Maybe you're feeling a little bit stagnant and it's just time for some change. Regardless of where you're at, you're in the right place. So real, long-term, long-lasting change, I have learned, and I'm sure you have too, takes time, it takes your energy, it takes commitment. So we are actually beginning a journey today. And this is what changed for me. So, sorry, give me 1 second. We are adding someone in. So when I first put together the idea for doing this session, I was kind of doing what I had offered my group coaching program last year. And it was just a one-off session. It was a, hey, like, let's think about what you want to bring in for the new year. And we went through some exercises and it was wonderful. But when I thought about long lasting change, when I thought about me making the changes that I've made, none of it has just come about from one session. So this has morphed and it is going to kick off a journey. And if you're willing to stick with it, you will experience the change that you're looking for. You will be experiencing growth, and you will also be experiencing healing, which may or may not make you happy, but it's healing goes along with the growth journey. It's just like a natural byproduct of it. The great news is you don't have to do it alone. I am here to support you along the way. And, you know, as a matter of fact, today's session is the first of 4 live sessions that I'm going to be offering throughout the year. So we have today, and then I'm going to be offering 3 other sessions aligning with the spring equinox, the summer solstice, the autumn equinox, and then we'll finish it up in the winter with the winter solstice. No matter how many times you've set goals before, I'm going to tell you this is going to look and feel different to you. And it's because we're treating this differently. We are working with the energy of nature's cycles, and we are working with the moon cycles. We are going to work with the principles of manifestation, and we're going to be working with the law of attraction. So this approach is supporting a very soul-aligned growth and change for you, meaning that you are making choices that are aligned with you, for your benefit, and maybe not for anybody else, and that's perfect. But I do believe that 1 year from now, you're going to look back if you continue on this journey, and you're going to see real, authentic, soul-aligned, divinely guided change, growth, and healing. Okay. I'm super proud of you for being here. I'm proud of you for taking this time and for all that you are about to do. I have to warn you, I offer a lot. And like I said, this session, this offering kind of like morphed into this massive, huge thing. I actually had to pare it back because it was like, I will severely overwhelm all of these people if I offer all of this out. So there's still so much here. Just know that I am offering you a lot. And if it feels overwhelming, please tell me. Don't let it shut you down. Like, please come and send me a message, connect with me in some way, social media, email, whatever, and just say, like, I loved everything, but it's too much for me. So can we pare it down even more? All right. Since we are taking a different approach, I thought we could start with a little bit of a release of any ideas, any beliefs, or any notions that we already have going into this process. So these are going to look like your shoulds. These are going to look like your supposed to's. These are going to look like your New Year's resolutions. These are going to look like your I can'ts, or that's not for me, it's not possible. I want you to take a moment here, and I just want you to imagine all of those different things, all of those things swimming around in your head when you came into this process feeling like it was going to be different. And I want you to imagine it as this big ball of string that's all tangled together and it's floating out in front of you. It's heavy, it's messy, it's dark, and it has a cord that's going from your body out to it. That's kind of keeping it tethered to you. Some of you have done cord cutting with me before. So we are going to see this ball of shoulds and supposed to's and judgments and expectations and all of this. And we're going to thank it for how it has served us, because everything serves us in some way, I believe. And we're going to take a pair of scissors in our mind, and we're going to cut that cord. And we're going to watch this ball of a massive thing float away from us. And we're going to watch all of the energy that was going into all of those different things come right back into us, into our energetic bodies. And we get to do whatever we want with it. This is a fresh new beginning for us. And it's perfect because we are on the new moon, and we are going to talk about that shortly. All right. Again, any questions, please feel, or comments. I love feedback, so feel free to throw it in the chat. I know a lot of you. I do not know everybody. So I thought I'd take 1 second to introduce myself. I am Michelle. I'm an energy healer. I'm a Reiki master. I'm a sound healer. I am also a soul empowerment coach, which is kind of the hat I'm wearing tonight. I help people, predominantly women, I think we have all women here this evening, clear away the noise and the clutter. That includes things like the limiting beliefs that we have about ourselves. It's the traumas that we've endured. It's the past experiences. It's the conditioning. It's the supposed to's. It's the shoulds. It's the people pleasing. It is the expectations. All of those things, I help clear those away so that you can get in touch with your inner knowing, your soul, which has every single correct answer for you. It just gets so muted by all of those other things, and they just settle in on top of it, and we can barely hear it. So I do this in an effort to help you feel more aligned, feel more fulfilled, feel more happy with your choices. And then additionally, I'm the creator and owner of Raven and Dove Apothecary, where I create products by hand, all natural, to support your mind, body, and soul. Okay. That's my little introduction. So we very often treat change as instantaneous, like it should be instantaneous, especially when we approach the new year. We think January 1st, this is going to happen, and I'm not going to falter, and this is it, and I'm done, and it's going to happen, which is absolute insanity, because nothing we ever do in life is instantaneous. Babies don't learn to walk instantaneously. We don't learn to talk instantaneously. You don't start a new job and know everything that you want to do in a new job that you need to do instantaneously. So why do we approach the new year and our goals with this feeling of it needing to be like perfect and instantaneous and I'm done? Okay, so as you've probably experienced, I know I have, when I've treated it like this, I have often failed very quickly at those goals. Like, how many of those resolutions have gone by the wayside by the end of January? probably, I know for me, it's been a lot, a lot. Again, I've said this before, I'm going to say it a million times. Real change actually takes time, patience, a really deep connection to self. If you are operating from an inner knowing, it is so much easier to make change because it feels aligned and it just makes sense to you. Connection to, yourself, making mistakes and actually being okay with making those mistakes because they're actually teaching you something, and allowing yourself to learn the lessons that those things are teaching. Healing, releasing, letting go, and creating space. That sounds difficult, probably, but I think we make change a lot more difficult than it needs to be because of the pressure that we put on it and because of the expectations we place on it. So we are going to take a much gentler approach, and we're going to have some support from the universe. I've been operating on this gentler approach way for a little while now. I had to deprogram so much bullshit. Sorry for the language. I've had to let go of so much. We don't realize that we're carrying all these things around with us, and there's no room for the change because we decide that we just need to carry all of this with us. It needs to stay with us instead of being able to release it and let it go. I did it. I know you can do it. My life today is unrecognizable from 2020 in all ways. You may not feel like that kind of change is needed, and that's totally fine. You might feel like you're ready for a complete overhaul the way I was too. Either way, again, you're in the right place. All right. Any questions, comments, anything like that? Feel free to jump in and ask. I wanted to start. I have a feeling that you've come in with a goal or two in mind, even if it's just one kind of thing that you think, this is what I'd like to do for the start of the new year. This is what I'd like to start doing, or this is what I'd like to stop doing. Even if you haven't, let's try to play along with this, if you can come up with something. So I want you to focus on that kind of goal that you've had in your mind for yourself going into this. Whether it's, again, it might be like, getting healthier or, quitting something, whatever it is. So call that goal into your mind right now. And now if you would, if it feels comfortable to you, if you'd close your eyes for a second. This helps me connect to my inner knowing, my third eye. So hopefully it does for you too. I want you to imagine that you have just won a lottery of sorts. But there is a condition to receiving the money. It has to be spent on yourself, and it has to go towards something that lights you up, that fills you up. What comes to mind for you? Just take a second here, and there are no limits here. Like, you do not have to figure out how to make this happen, just that this is your desire. Now, I want you to think about that original goal that you had in your mind. Do they align in any way? Does your goal that you are thinking about for this year ultimately support your daydream? For some, it might, and that's great. So this might look like something along the lines of learning a new language. I want to learn a new language this year because my ultimate goal and dream is to visit this country someday. So that would be like, there's an alignment there, right? For some of you, it may not feel aligned. Again, that's okay. It's possible there is some alignment there, but you just haven't gotten to that connection yet. For others, it may be that you are basing your goals on things outside of yourself, the expectations and all of those things that we gather from the people around us, from society, our family, whatever, and you think that that's what you're supposed to be doing. And then for others, I feel like this exercise might have felt pretty impossible for you. Maybe you haven't thought about yourself and your dreams and your desires in a really long time, and that's okay. That's okay too. We're going to work on that. All right. we're going to talk a little bit about the cycles of nature right now. Our new year begins in January, which makes absolutely no sense because we are in the winter season right now. Winter is a time for slowing down. It's a time for hibernation. It's a time for going inward. It is not a time for new beginnings. And we're going to go with the cycles of nature here. We're not going to force this new beginning in the middle of winter, in the middle of January, in the beginning of January. And that might be hard for some people here. So I want to talk a little bit, and if you want to follow along in your guide, there is a page called Seasons. It's page number 3. They're not numbered, sorry, but it's the 3rd page in. We're just going to talk about the cycles of nature a little bit, and we're going to align ourselves with that because it's what makes sense, at least to me, and hopefully to you when we're done. So in the winter, the animals hibernate, the trees go dormant, they pull all of their sap back into their roots to conserve all of that. The world gets quieter, everything gets darker. And all of this is to allow you to go inward, to reflect, to rest. Solitude and quiet are the name of the game in winter. It is not a time of action. And I think everybody here is in the Northern Hemisphere. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere, you're in summer season, so it's going to be flipped. But I think we're all in the Northern Hemisphere. So we are going to, it's not a time of action, it's a time of reflection, and we're going to honor that with our approach. This, again, might be really difficult for some of you because, if not most of you, it's still a little difficult for me because we're not programmed to approach life this way. We're programmed for the constant go, 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 go. And truthfully, I believe that that is why so many of us are walking around burnt out, stressed out, anxious to the nth degree. And we want to undo this programming. That's my goal. That's my hope for all of you. Does anybody have any raw, instant reactions to the idea of like going inward and getting quiet, all of that good stuff? I know I did for a long time. So that's winter. Then we move into spring. It's the astrological new year with the Aries season. Aries is all about action. And so this is the time of action. It's not now. It's in a few months. We have the planting of seeds going on in the spring. We have new beginnings. We have planning. We have nurturing, and we have energizing. The trees begin to wake up. The flowers begin to push their way up through the soil. Baby animals are born, baby birds are born, baby bunnies, they're all over the place. The light starts to return for us. And it's like there's an awakening after a long but very necessary period of slumber that happened in winter. So when we get into our spring session, that is going to be our time for actual goal setting. But we have a lot of work to do before that. Gentle work. Then during the summer, we experience crazy growth and expansion. Think about your gardens exploding. Think about trees in full bloom. Think about the animals in nature all over the place. There's lots of interacting. The birds and the bees are floating around, and the flowers and the trees, and everyone and everything is out and about. We adventure more in the summer. A lot of us spend a lot more time outdoors in the summer. We play. We do a lot more of our fun things in the summer, you know, skiers and snowboarders aside. We have an abundance of light in the summer, and this is our time for inspired action. So this is going to be the time when we are doing a lot. And then we get to autumn. It is our time of harvest. It is the time when the trees begin to release their leaves. It is the time when the animals begin to prepare for winter and everything shifts downward. The days shorten. We begin to slow down in autumn, and it's a time of completion. We've done all the work. We've reaped all the rewards, but it's also a time for us to take stock and reflect on what went well and what we can adjust for next year. So this is when we get to autumn, that's going to be our time to take stock, reflect, do some shadow work. If you've been with me, you've probably done some shadow work. It can be a little daunting, but we'll do it together. And we're going to do a lot of releasing what no longer serves us. So again, I just want you to think of this as a journey. And if you're willing to go through it, I think you're really going to love it. So we're going to keep all of this in mind as we move forward. I'm going to take a sip of water. Okay, so we're not seeking this big action-packed new beginning for January, but we are experiencing a new beginning because we have a new moon today. It's coming up actually very shortly, which amplifies the energy of new beginnings. So I do want to talk a little bit about the moon cycles and how it supports manifesting our desires. If I'm going too fast, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to pop in. Okay, so new moon. New moons are all about new beginnings, about setting intentions, about laying the initial groundwork. And if you want to, you can move to the next page of your workbook. It's about laying groundwork for the next 28 days of the month. It is, the moon appears hidden. So when you go outside tonight, you're not going to see a moon. You may see a shadow of a moon, but you're not going to see like the bright big moon out there. It is dark in the night sky. Just like winter, the new moon is the time for you to go inward. It is a time for you to think about what you want for yourself in your life. It is a time for you to decide on change for yourself. It's also a time for daydreaming, which we're going to be doing some of. And we're going to talk about how important daydreaming and visualization is for manifesting soon. We are cosmically supported in this new moon today because at 5:27 p.m. Eastern, we have a rare black moon, which is when you have two new moons in the same month. And this only occurs about every 29 months. And we have one tonight. And it just takes everything that I just said about the new moon and it intensifies it. So we are like being cosmically supported in what we're putting together this evening. It's helps with inner focus, encouraging a deep inward gaze, allowing for profound self-understanding and personal transformation. Hello, what are we here kicking off? And it's a really powerful time to plant seeds for new intentions and goals, but with a more profound impact. So the universe was like, hey, we're gonna amp up what you wonderful human beings are doing tonight. So moving on in the moon cycle, after the new moon, we have a sliver of light appear in the night sky, and that is that waxing crescent moon. As the moon is growing, it's called the waxing, and when it starts to get darker, when it starts to go down in light, it's the waning. So here in the waxing crescent, you're in the energy of early stages. So this is like when you're super excited. This is when it's so easy to like go after that new thing that you want because you're amped up and you're like super excited about it. It's full of possibility. It's the time when the change feels the easiest, and it is a time for making plans. So, well, we'll get there. I'm going to keep going with the moons, and then I'm going to kind of pull this all together for you. The first quarter moon is going to look like a half moon in the sky, and that is when we are moving full speed ahead. Action is taking place. But as you start, obstacles are going to pop up. So I know for me in the past, and a lot of times for the people that I work with, those obstacles pop up and we're like, nope, okay, not meant for me. Like, I can't do this. It's too hard. And we feel that resistance and we quit. But this is really a time for you to adapt. It's a time for you to take a new perspective on it. It's a time for you to adjust and persist. This phase allows you to pause so that you can move forward with intention, which is always so important. The next phase is the waxing gibbous. And this is, we've gone past that half moon and it's getting much, much fatter. And it's just before the full moon. When you get to this phase, you're probably going to start wondering what the hell you even did. Why did you even begin this? Why did you start this? Your doubts are certainly going to arise during this period of your manifestation, or at least that's the energy of this phase of the moon. Have faith, keep going, keep doing the work. This is worker bee. It's a time for you to push through. Your full moon is your harvest time. It is the moon. The moon is full of light at this point, and it helps to illuminate not only how far you've come, but anything that you need to let go of. So this phase is urging us to shed our old skin so that we can fit into the new skin. It wants us to look at what we've accomplished, be really honest about what's holding us back, and it's a time to lighten your load. This feels really hard for a lot of people. Letting go is one of the hardest things to do. During your waning gibbous, you're beginning to head back towards the darkness. It's a time to release your fears and your anxieties. This is going to be a really great time for shadow work, for rest, for honesty with yourself. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of this process, I'm going to ask you to be honest with yourself, and that we don't go about deliberately lying to ourselves, but there's just so much conditioning that we think we're being honest with ourselves, and there's just that film over it, that layer of like, I can't say that, I can't do that, that's not the right thing to do. Sorry, I'm just letting somebody in. Okay, so acknowledging the negativity that you're experiencing, releasing emotions and regrouping, again, like release and then come back to it. I love shadow work now. I hated it for a really long time because it's hard to do. So I am here to help if you find yourself in this phase of being faced with the parts of yourself that you wish didn't exist and the stories that are running rampant in your mind that aren't serving you. I'm here to help you. Your third quarter, which is going to look like the half moon on the other side, is going to be a time to reinforce your positive thoughts, revisit your intention. This is your worker bee mode on the other side of the full moon. And at this point, your process should be pretty like lean and mean because you've eliminated a lot of the stuff that got in your way before. And then finally, we hit the waxing crescent. It's the last sliver of light before the moon goes dark again. And it's an ending and a beginning all at the same time. Again, you get to look at how far you've come, but you also get to get excited about where you're going next. You've made some progress. If this was like a short-term, manifestation, you've hit like completion with it. Maybe it's part of a bigger process for you, but you've made progress. And you get to get ready for the next new moon cycle. And that's every month you get to do this process all over again and be focusing on what you want to be focusing on. All right. So I want to put that into practical use for you because it sounds a little contradictory. I told you it's winter and we want to relax and we want to rest and we want to go inward. But then I just gave you these cycles that are going to happen over the next month. And part of it is about taking action. So I want to put into practical use those two things combined together. So if rest, let's call rest our manifestation for January, because I think a lot of us struggle so much with resting, with like not having to do all of the time. So new moon, we are going to sit in this energy of how wonderful it's going to feel when we're not exhausted all the time, when we're not burnt out, when we have some time to do things that actually make us happy and bring us a little bit of joy, and not going at full speed over the course of this month. We are going to set our intention of nourishing ourselves with rest and solitude. That's our new moon phase. During the waxing crescent, we're going to start to come up with some plans about how we're going to make that a reality. During the first quarter, we'll probably hit some bumps in the road once we start making those plans. Our programming is going to start haywiring. And we are going to, we're acting against everything that we've learned so far in life. So we're going to be faced with that. We get to that waxing gibbous. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep resting. We're going to keep reflecting. We're going to go inward. Ironically, this is like the worker bee go, go, go portion of the moon, but our go, go, go in this instant is rest, rest, rest. So it's a little ironic, but it's good. We hit that full moon. We're going to take a good hard look at those things that are getting in our way. That might look like deadlines, commitments, beliefs, saying yes to too many things, and we're going to commit to releasing those things that are getting in the way of us getting our much needed and deserved rest. The moon starts to wane. During our waning gibbous, we're going to do the work of releasing those things. During the third quarter, we're going to keep going. We've released some of the thoughts and behaviors that weren't serving us, and we're like doing it, right? We're feeling the benefits of the work, and that's really important. And then during the waning crescent, we're going to acknowledge our new reality of being like in a space where we can sit quietly, we can enjoy a movie, bundled up on the couch under a blanket and not feel guilty that we're not doing something. And we're going to get excited for what's coming next for us. So that's putting that kind of into like a practical, how do you use the moon cycle when you're looking at something like rest as your manifestation. I'm going to take a breath. Any questions? I know I'm throwing a lot of information at you. I hope that it's useful information. This may not be quite what you were expecting, but I do hope that it is serving you. All right. You know what? I'd love to take a quick movement break here. Just like move your body a little bit, shake things out. You've been sitting. If you feel like standing and stretching, it's all good. Take a little walk around, a little circle. All right, just get our energy up. I normally incorporate dance into my sessions like this. I have some of my Empowered Mind, Body, and Soul group coaching members here. We always danced at the start of all of our sessions, but I was afraid I was not going to get through everything, so I had to nix the dancing. But if you want to dance, please feel free. All right.
I had a question.
Yes.
So all of these things that we're, focusing on and focusing on rest and taking action and stuff, is this regarding our goals that we're making?
We haven't even gotten to goals yet.
Right. Like, what is this regarding?
Yeah.
Like,
So essentially, the season is asking you to get in touch with yourself first before you even decide on your goals. Because we jump in and we're like, I want to lose weight. I want to work out every day. I want to, only eat healthy foods. But we're not connecting that with ourselves really at a soul level. So we jump into these goals that maybe aren't truly aligned with our greater manifestations, right? So this season is actually designed to figure out what your goals are actually going to be. So we're not even thinking about goals yet. Our goal is to create some space for ourselves. Our goal is going to be to try to get to know ourselves a little bit more, and I have some of that coming up for you. But I'm actually asking you to go against your natural inclination to start January 1st with a goal in mind. I'm actually asking you to do some of that inner soul work that by the time you get to springtime, when it's time to be setting those goals, that you're going to feel like, yes, this is absolutely what I want to spend my time doing. This is absolutely where I want my energy to go. This makes so much sense to me. Does that make sense?
yes, it
Okay.
does. Thank you.
Good. You're welcome. And again, this is so anti everything we've ever been taught to do, which is like January 1st, You wake up and you start that new, and I'm sorry, but how many of you actually wake up on January 1st and start the new stuff? I know that I always got to like the first and I was like, oh shit, okay, well, today's a day off. So we'll, January 2nd, tomorrow we're back to real life. Like, I'll start then. So I am liking this approach, but it is long term. So bear with me. We're going to talk a little bit about manifesting because we want the universe to co-create this existence with us and we want it to provide us with support. If you have been with me, we've done manifesting work. Some of this information is actually coming straight from our manifesting session that we did together in Empowered Mind, Body, and Soul. But I always find the need to repeat things over and over and over again before they like fully integrate for me. So hopefully it will be a nice refresher for you. 511. Sorry. 11 is an angel number for me, and I catch like almost every hour on the 11-minute. Okay, so a lot of us are focusing our attention on the things that we don't want in life. And where our attention goes, our energy flows. And our energy is creating the outcomes. Our attention and our energy are creating the outcomes for ourselves. So if you are constantly thinking about the things that you do not want in your life anymore, you are going to receive more of that. It's the law of attraction. But if you can shift your thinking to what you want to call in, to be thinking more about your desires and the change that you are looking to call into your life, you're going to see a shift in what starts coming in for you. The law of attraction says that like attracts like. So when we are connecting with ourselves, when we're doing things that feel good to us, no matter what it does for anybody else, when we are having fun, when we have a big smile on our face, when we are in those positive vibes, we're going to attract positive things. That is not to say you have to be positive all the time, because I'm going to tell you, feeling your feelings also raises your vibration, even if they're negative feelings. So we want to be focusing on your intention. If magic is your intention, you want to be waking up every morning. I am magical. Magical things happen for me. I am connecting to the magic in my space and my environment, etc. And that is going to, it's not going to be, I'm waking up and like it's another day. I got to go to work. I need to do this. When you're focusing on that, you're just drawing more of that like energy, that low vibe energy in. When you find yourself losing patience in this, because this is, again, it's a switch from the way that we are humanly programmed to operate. We as humans are programmed to look for the negative. It's a survival tactic. So to be focusing our energy and attention on the positive, that is a very intentional shift that you need to make. When you find yourself losing your patience, return to the feeling of how it will feel to be sitting in the space of having this manifestation come true. So if it's magic and that fills you up with like this, glittery white energy, whatever that might do for you, like sit in that energy as much as you possibly can. Daydream the heck out of your manifestations. I want you spending so much more time thinking about like living the existence of what it is that you want and not thinking about how you need to get there, not thinking about all the things that need to disappear in order for that to happen for you. You just sit in the energy of what you desire as much as humanly possible. Faith is an incredibly important piece of manifesting. There is such a thing as divine timing. Again, this is one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do. It's surrendering. It's letting go. It's not trying to control the process. It's putting your intentions out into the universe. It's taking some steps, which I'm going to share with you in a minute. but it's not feeling like it has to happen this way, it has to happen at this time. If it doesn't, it's useless, and etc. and on and on. So there's also another piece to this, and this is what we're actually working on right now. When we take it slow, when we are connecting with ourselves, when we are getting to know ourselves on a much deeper level, you need to be the person that can hold what you are asking for. If you have significant money issues and you are trying to manifest $1 million, but you can't hold on to the $20 that comes your way, the universe is saying like, okay, great, but she can't, what's she going to do with that $1 million? That $1 million is going to come in and she doesn't know what to do with it. So it's just going to be gone. And so the work is, how do I fix my relationship with money so that I become the person that when I receive $1 million or whatever, that it's actually going to serve me and it's not going to ruin me. It's not going to destroy me. If you're not in a position where you can hold whatever it is that you're asking for yet, that's the work that needs to be done. Any questions on that? So what we really want to do is get very clear on our desires. And that is why I'm asking you not to set any goals yet. Because you might think you're clear on your desires, and you may actually be very clear on your desires. If you've been doing a lot of self-work on yourself and you've been doing healing and growth work for a while, then you might be at the position where you are clear on what you desire. I feel for myself, I'm very clear on what I desire for this year, but it's still winter and I need to rest up and I need to work on my self-care, because I won't be able to hold the growth that I want for this year if I am burnt out. And I'll tell you right now, I am not in a place where I can hold that because I burn myself out. I don't say no enough. I take up too much space, and I will not be able to hold that. So that's my work for this month. I'm working on self-love, what's the word I'm looking for? Self-care, sorry. I'm working on self-care like it's my only job this month. Again, you want to, I use the example of $1 million, but really when you're manifesting, it is more useful to you if it looks like, I would like to have enough money to pay all of my bills, clear out my debt, and feel comfortable being able to spend it in any way that I desire, versus I want $1 million. So the more you can sit in that feeling of financial freedom, and I'm just using money as an example, obviously, you know, that might not be your thing, but the more you can sit in that feeling of relief, for a lot of us, if we're searching for something different and new, it is probably going to feel like a giant relief for us. If you can sit in that energy of being able to just book the trip, buy the tickets, offer the help to the person that needs it, sitting in that energy as much as possible, daydreaming about that as much as possible. We are told over and over and over again, get your head out of the clouds, stop daydreaming, focus, come on, come back. And that is stifling so much of our manifesting power, our creativity, our hopes and our dreams when we're constantly pulled back to reality. That's my soapbox. Hold on a sec. Okay. So again, focusing your attention and therefore your actions and your energy on your desires. Looking for your signs of alignment from the universe to keep going. I know that I have some people on here that are angel number people. Those are repeating numbers that show up all the time for you. Like when you see 111, when you see 444, those kinds of things. There are lots of different signs that we can see. The songs that come through on the radio when you're thinking about something, and the lyrics of the song like literally answers what you were like talking about or worrying about or asking for. the opportunities that come your way, it starts to, I have had so many people, and I get it because I did the same thing, come to me and say, this feels weird. Like, I was working on this and then this showed up. And it was like, are they listening? You know, like, it's not, it's divine alignment. It's the universe sending you what you're attracting to yourself. So accept those things with so much gratitude. Say yes to the opportunities that align with you at this level. And even if it's scary, because it is scary a lot of the time to say yes to some of these opportunities, they're outside of our comfort zone. If they weren't, we'd already have it. So when that class pops up in front of your face on your computer and you're like, wow, I was just thinking about, like, I'm really interested in this thing and here's this class, but I don't know. I don't know if I want to spend the money. I have to go somewhere, whatever. I urge you to take the opportunity if you can. It's the universe sending it to you. And the universe is never going to send you what you're not ready for. As we discussed earlier, if you're not the person that can hold it, you're not going to get it. Okay. The more you can sit in gratitude, the more you can give thanks for every single one of those. Every time I see a sign, I say thank you. Every time. Every time an opportunity comes my way, I say thank you. Generally speaking, with a lot of tears in my eyes, because I really feel it. Gratitude just helps with everything. It helps raise your vibration. It helps align you. It helps call in your manifestations. It helps let your guides know that you're feeling it. You're in it with them. Keeping your vibration high. We're energetic beings, and I have some things coming up for you on how to do that. But again, that doesn't mean being Susie Sunshine all the time. That's just not real life. But maybe it means shifting from, like, waking up and complaining every morning to, like, instead saying what you're grateful for first thing in the morning. Or, you know, having a snuggle with your kitty or your dog or your child or whatever it might be. Releasing your expectations. It's not your job to know how this is going to happen, and too many of us get caught up in that. It's like, I can't possibly dream that because I don't know how to make that a reality. I don't have X, Y, and Z to make that happen. That's not your job. That's the part the universe comes in and helps you with. If you are too narrowly focused on the how, you're definitely going to limit what you have available for yourself. And keep track of everything. Journaling is a really great way to do this. We're going to talk about journaling shortly. But we're forward thinking, moving beings, and all too often we're just like tunnel vision forward. It's like you gain something, but you don't pay any attention to it because you're already on to the next thing. And manifesting really requires you to, every once in a while, look back and see how far you've come. Again, so that you can sit in that appreciation for it and know that it's working. All too often, we're not even aware that it's working because we're not paying attention to what's coming in for us. All right. You can go to the next page, keep those vibes high of your book if you'd like. These are just some of the ways that I know work for me and I know work generally for other people. You should absolutely add to this list if there are things that just make you feel wonderful that are not on this list. And if any of these things actually don't make you feel wonderful, then you should cross them off. And maybe there's a little bit of self-work there, but we'll get there. Gratitude, spending time in nature. I know it's winter. If you can get yourself outdoors, if you can get yourself into a wooded area, if you can even just walk around your block for 5 minutes, it's going to support you. Connecting them with the people who light you up. And with this goes maybe spending a little bit less time with the people who don't. You all know what I'm talking about. Moving your body, energy work, meditation and prayer. Self-care is really, really, really important. giving and gratefully receiving. We need to both give and receive. Too many women give, 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 and we are terrible at receiving back. But that is so important to raising your vibration and being able to do that. Working through and releasing negative emotions. Again, it might feel like you're focusing on a negative, but you're processing the emotion so that you're not carrying it around with you anymore. Living your purpose, celebrating your wins, which again requires you to just check your progress. Being creative. Too many of us adults set that creativity aside a long time ago and we haven't gone back to it yet. Serving others is a really great way to raise your vibe. Living in the moment, which means not like replaying everything that has happened before, worrying and fretting about what is coming up next, but like really just being in the present moment and focusing on that and telling yourself everything else will be okay. I'm getting that tattooed on me. Everything will be okay. I really am. Having fun and reconnecting again and again with your intentions are all ways to raise your vibe. In your workbook, I'm not going to go through these because it's an extensive list, but I pulled some energy draining and energy giving actions from an old workbook I had put together for a different event. And maybe just like taking a look at those and seeing if there are things that you're like doing on a regular basis. Again, the name of our game is self-discovery, which we're going to talk about soon. And so just like kind of gauging where you're at with some of these things and maybe some of the things that you can replace it with from some of those energy giving things. All right, Jen, here we are. I'm gonna give you your focus for January because I know that you want a focal point. We are in winter mode. I am going to remind you we're in winter mode. So if you turn to the next page, it says January focus on the top of your guide. These are the things that I am encouraging you to focus on for the month of January. Curiosity without judgment. What does this mean? Wonder. Wonder about yourself. Wonder about your life. Not in a judgmental way, but in a, I wonder what this would look like, or how this would work out, or what this would feel like. Curiosity about new things and how they might work out for you, and follow those threads. So sometimes we get, again, it's like those little things from the universe that pop in that you're like, that's interesting. Why is that here? But like if you pull that thread a little bit and you start to like unravel it, you're like, there's something here. There's an interest here, right? And it's about following those things that interest you, that pique your curiosity. We're going to focus on slowing down. And I know this is going to be so hard for so many of you. Connecting with yourself, connecting with nature, and connecting with loved ones. And I'm talking inner tribe. But being very intentional with your time, because again, we're in winter. It's dark so early. It's meant for you to be in and cozy and like, spending time with yourself. And again, that like close-knit circle. I'm not saying you can't go out and see anybody for January, but like just being really discerning with your time. Boundaries are going to be your friend here. And if that word gives you hives, I can help you. I do a lot of boundaries work with my clients, and I've done a lot of boundaries work for myself. And I know so many of us hear that word and we're like, you can do it. Self-discovery. Again, we're just like really wanting to get to know ourselves on a deeper level. And I know that you might feel like you do, or maybe you don't, but there's always a deeper layer that I feel like you can conquer here. We're going to spend a lot of time daydreaming. We're going to be jotting down those like new thoughts and ideas that come from like setting the intention of, discovering more things about ourselves, and the universe is going to start to send us those things. We're going to start writing things down. Creativity, whether that's cooking, whether that's, painting, writing, whatever that might look like for you. maybe spending a little bit of time, this extra time that you have doing that. Reflecting, again, without judgment. This is not to pick yourself apart. This is not to say, look at all the things that I have wrong with me and I need to fix. No, just a general, where am I at? What's going on? How does it feel? How does it feel? How does it feel? How does it feel? Journaling. I'm going to ask you to journal. I don't know how you feel about that, but we'll get there. Assessing, and then resting and recharging, because again, the winter is designed to give you the rest that you need to enter the growing season from a place of feeling ready to go. If you burn yourself out all of the time, you're never at that place where you're like, okay, I'm ready. Here we go. I'm ready to hit the ground running. I feel great. All right, so if we turn the page here, I have some questions for you about what you'd like to commit to. So I've already checked 2 of them off for you, and I'm really hopeful that you're on board with me. But I commit to being open. And I think the fact that you're here, still here, you haven't jumped ship yet, means that you are at least open to giving this process a try. I hated journaling for my entire life. I would sit down with a journal open and I would feel like that, like, dear diary, blah, blah, blah. I would hate what I was writing. I would criticize myself in my brain about how it sounded. I would think about, what if someone else saw this? What if someone else read this? What if someone else heard this? And it would stop me in my tracks. So I had to do some self-work to get to the place, and maybe you do too. But what I have learned about daily journaling is that it has helped me work through so much stuff. It has brought about a level of awareness of what's going on for me, uncomparable to anything in the past. It has helped me see patterns within myself. I was a person that would feel like everyone in the world hated me, and I would go into hiding in seclusion. And I'm a public person. Like, I put stuff out on social media, and I would once a month fall off the face of the planet and think, no one wants to hear what I have to say. Everyone hates me. I just need to shut up and go away and hide in a hole. And when I started journaling, I realized that that was a part of my menstrual cycle. That was my follicular phase that was telling me that everybody hated me, and it wasn't true. So, like, I was able to piece that together when I was paying attention to my cycle, and I was paying attention to what thoughts were going through my head and what feelings I was experiencing. And I was able to say, that makes sense. So now I still feel it, but I'm like, Michelle, you are in your follicular phase. Your luteal phase. I keep saying the wrong thing. You're in your luteal phase. My husband calls it my lucid phase. Anyway, it's like that awareness of, in that connection that I never think I would have. Honestly, I'm 48 years old and I hadn't made that connection until this past year. So, and it will give you clues about what aligns for you and what doesn't. So I have some suggestions. Oh, sorry, before I move on. So daily journaling, if you can, it's just going to open up so much information for you. And I'm going to share with you some of the things that you can journal about so you don't feel so awkward about it. But I am also asking for one or the other, 10 minutes plus, if possible. Some might call it meditation. I'm going to call it meditation / quiet reflection. It's just a period of time every day where there's no distractions. I like to do mine first thing in the morning. I do mine in combination with journaling. But it's just a time to, like, have my own thoughts and not have other people around distracting me, not have social media distracting me, not having the TV. It's just a time for me to connect with myself. Or if that sounds and feels awful to you, 10 plus minutes of maybe walking and reflecting at the same time. I also feel like when I start to move my body, a lot of stuff starts to move and process for me. And so one of the two, if you can. I know it's winter. There are electric jackets. I have a battery operated jacket that heats up while I walk. Mittens galore, like I have everything. So I know some of you hate winter. I actually know very intensely that some of you hate winter. So what I did offer, oh, sorry, I think I'm jumping all around here and I didn't want to do that. Okay, I offered some self-discovery journal prompts in your guide. There is one for every day of January if you choose to do this, and I do hope that you do. It's a prompt a day, and you can journal about it. You can take it on that walk with you and just think about it. But what I'm really asking for here, and if you're looking at this from a goals perspective, this is probably your action that I'm asking for. Be really honest with yourself. Some of these questions are going to make you feel bad about yourself, and they're not programmed, they're not designed to be that way. But depending on how connected you feel with yourself, some of these might be hard. If you can push through it, if you can allow yourself to just kind of go with it and see what comes through and see what comes up for you without judgment. Again, we love to judge ourselves. I'm asking you, please, please, please don't judge yourself. This is about learning more about you. If you judge yourself, you're going to shut yourself down before you ever get the chance. One of the things I love to do is ask myself why in response to an answer. So I have a prompt and I answer it, and then I think, and this is that curiosity. Why? Why do I feel that way? Why does that do that to me? Why does it make me feel this way? That's where we get to that stuff that's sitting there in our programming that we're fully unaware of, but that is affecting each and everything that we're doing. That's where when you were 10 years old and someone said something to you and that went into your subconscious and now is in your operating system. But when you dig deeper in that prompt and you're like, why do I feel that way? And you're like, this happened when I was 10 years old. The awareness of that allows you to do something about it. The awareness of it allows you to change something. That's where the true change comes in, when you're aware of what's stopping the change from happening to begin with. All right, so those prompts are there for you. They are for you. They're not for anybody else. I am not collecting them. They're not being turned in. They are for you. I also offered a couple of other pages here. This is entirely up to you. There's a page here that talks about the amount of sleep you got, where you're at in your cycle, what the weather was like. The weather greatly affects me. I don't know if it greatly affects you. If I have multiple days in a row of it raining, I feel down and I feel depressed and I feel sad. But being aware of that helps it. You can list out foods. That's entirely up to you if you want to go to that depth of pattern recognition and behavior recognition, but it's helpful. But coming back to that daily free write. Again, we're just seeking some awareness here. We're seeking patterns. We are seeking feelings that you are currently having or frequently have. It's an exploration, and it's a clue about you and what you align with and what you don't align with. So things that have happened and how you feel about it. I had a fight with so-and-so and I was super annoyed because they said this, they did this, and this is how I felt about it. Write that all out as if you're dialoguing with somebody else. It's going to help you process it for yourself. Frequent obtrusive thoughts. So if you're constantly, sometimes I find myself in an I can't phase. So it's I can't deal, I can't handle this, I can't take any more of this. Once I get a little bit into my I can'ts, I realize, okay, it's about time for a little bit of self-empowerment, and it's about time for me to take control of those I can'ts, because that's bullshit. Expectations of yourself and others. A lot of us live by expectations and we operate with expectations for other people. And that, again, really impacts how we interact in life. So once we become aware of how much we're putting on ourselves and on others, we can adjust it. triggers and fears when you're like, you can feel something totally trigger inside of you when you're scared to death about something, when you're feeling that anxiety, when you're feeling that worry, write about it. And it doesn't matter how it looks. It doesn't matter what it's in. It doesn't matter if it's incomplete sentences. It doesn't matter if it's scribble. It's just helping you process. Comfortable moments, uncomfortable moments, grateful moments, aha moments, physical feelings and symptoms that are going on in your body. Everything is connected. And again, the weather, the moon cycle, and your moon cycle phase, if you're still experiencing that, are super helpful things to just kind of keep an eye on. Okay. Sorry, just catching up because I'm a little out of order. All right. Any questions before we move on? Am I totally like overwhelming you, or does this feel okay? Okay, good. All right, so we are getting close to the end of our time, but we're also getting close to the end. So I don't think I'm going to go that far over, maybe like 10, 15 minutes. If you need to jump, please, it's okay. I want you to keep some things in mind. I did not write this in your journal, but I'm going to start with this. The healing journey is a spiral. Your growth is a spiral. You are going to face something and you are going to process it and you are going to heal from it. And then sometime down the line, that thing is going to pop up in front of you again and you're going to go, well, shit, I thought I already took care of you. But the second time around, it's going to be a little bit deeper and it's going to get you a little bit further. And a spiral starts really wide, but as it goes down, it gets closer and closer and closer. Please keep that in mind because it doesn't mean you haven't done something right. It doesn't mean you've done something wrong. It's just a part of the process. When it feels like everything is falling apart, when you want to quit, take a break. Don't quit. Just take a break. Give yourself a break. We can't be doing this work all of the time, this like heavy duty healing growth work all of the time. You need to have those periods of rest. You need to have the downtime. Okay. Thank you, Leslie. When it feels like everything is falling apart, remember it's a part of the process. Remember when we talked about the moon phases? There's a phase in there for when things aren't going the way that you thought they would and being able to adjust to that. You're just being asked to assess what's going on, listen to your inner voice, trust yourself above all else, determine what's important to you and what you're ready to let go of. One of the biggest parts of this whole journey, this growth journey, is what you're willing to leave behind. You are not alone. There are people who will support you. I'm telling you that the healing growth journey is one of the loneliest times I've ever experienced in my life. And I just secluded myself even more because I felt like no one wanted to deal with my shit. And I think I stayed stuck in it way longer than I needed to. So there are people who will support you, and I'm one of them. I'm serious. Like, there are people on here who know. You reach out to me, you're struggling with something, I am there for you. Please reach out. You are 100% worthy of the life that you dream of, and there is nothing you need to do to deserve that. So if you are telling yourself that you need to work harder, you need to be this, you need to not be this, you need to not do this, you need to do that, in order for, no, just no. Okay, I'm gonna get a little trippy on you, but there is a future version of you that has already done all the work and she's sitting pretty. And she is sending back love for you. She might be part of the reason that you're here right now. She is encouraging you. She is sending that love back and she wants you to make the mistakes. She wants you to feel all the feels. She wants you to do it messily, angrily, happily, gratefully, knowing that you are going to make it. You are going to make it to where you want to go. It may not look exactly the way you want it to, but it's going to feel exactly the way you want it to. That's important to keep in mind. Long-term change requires patience and faith. Never underestimate the value of planting seeds. So, for example, I started when my daughter was born, I started making all of her baby food. I made all of our like healing products and like all the things, right? Like I was super into doing it all myself and doing it with natural ingredients. And then life got in the way for a really long period of time. And I got totally away from it. And I just went back to like picking the things up at the store, and that went on for years and years and years. And then I was reconnected to that love of creating the things through an offer from somebody asking me if I wanted to go through their holistic health practitioner program. Thank you, universe. I went through it, and that was the birth of Raven and Dove Apothecary. So that seed was planted way long ago, and I thought it was a dud, but it wasn't. It just needed time. And you can't and won't screw it up. You won't. You're not, that's just not a possibility. Okay. I just threw so much at you. You might feel a little overwhelmed. Maybe you don't. Maybe you feel underwhelmed. That's okay. But when you start to do this, I have a feeling that you're going to kind of get into this space of like, I don't know. I've been through all of this and I did not do it alone. Thank you, Karen. I'm here to help. I have some levels of support available to you. I'm just going to share those with you really, really quickly. If you feel like you are a person that wants your hand held through an entire process, I've got you. I have a program called Soul Sparkle. It's a 3-month intensive program. We connect on mostly a daily basis. So once a month, you're going to get an energy healing session. And then the whole rest of the month, we are going back and forth through an app called Voxer. It's kind of like a walkie-talkie type thing, and it's not as scary as it sounds. But like as these things are coming up for you and as you're working through things, it's like having, I'm not a therapist, but it's like having your therapist on speed dial. And we'll just get through it. And we get through it so much faster than if you're meeting once a month. Thanks, Mary. If you want more information on that, you can check out my website. I am offering a massive discount on that. So the program is $444 a month, but I'm offering $111 off per month for that. And I'm only opening that up for 5 people, for 5 spaces, because it's so intensive. That's all I can take on at a time. Soul coaching. This is us hopping on a call together or in person together. If you're local to me, you telling me what's going on with you, you talking about the places that you're stuck, you talking about the places that you want to go, and us just working through that. And those can be booked on an as needed basis through my website, and also on like a monthly basis or a bi-monthly basis. And yeah, I mean, that's just really like support for you, meeting you where you're at, what you need. And it's a lot of us talking, but it's also me taking everything that I've learned and offering it to you in support. I'm offering 10% off for everybody that registered for this, for any of these services, for the soul coaching and the Reiki and the energy healing. Intuitive Reiki is way more passive for you. If it's remote, you get comfy on your end. If you're here, you come in and get comfy in my space. I work through your energetic body. Reiki helps to take you out of the stress response and into your rest and digest. And it also helps to create balance in all areas of your body, mind, body, soul, etc. I am an intuitive also with the Reiki, with a lens of self-empowerment. So I often have messages come through, well, I don't want to say always, but I have always had messages come through with areas that you can like focus on to try to help connect you with your self-empowerment. And again, that's offered on a one-on-one as needed basis or a monthly subscription. If you combine the two together, there's an even bigger discount, super supportive. And finally, my intuitive energy work. It's kind of a blend of both. It's kind of a blend of the energy work. Oh, you're welcome, Allie. Good, good, good. It's kind of the combination of energy work and soul coaching together. I always recommend a Reiki session before we do intuitive energy work, but that's available. And then our next steps. Your focus is yourself for January. I'm going to check in on you now and again to make sure you know I'm here if you need me. At the end of the month, I'm going to provide some guidance for next month. I wanted to include it, but it was too much. So I'm going to send you something at the end of January for February. And then again at the end of February for March. In March, we'll gather again and we'll go from there. Please, I'm telling you honestly, please reach out to me if you have questions, if you just want to share things, if you have any you get caught up or whatever. Please send me a message. And lastly, I thought about putting together a group, like a Facebook group or a group on my website, but I feel like people are in a lot of groups and I don't know if that is welcome. If anybody is interested in putting together a group so that there's kind of like that mutual support for this, let me know and I'm happy to create that for this space and for these wonderful souls. Thank you so much. I'm not that far over. Does anybody have any questions before we wrap up here? Yes, Andrea.
Hi, I just have a question, and I guess I kind of want your take on it. You know how
Yeah.
like every new moon has like a sign, like whether it's Capricorn or
Yes.
Gemini, like how does that like infuse into like this kind of work?
Yeah, it's an overarching theme, right? So Capricorn is the new moon that we're in right now, and it's aligning very much with what we're doing here. It's really asking you to dig deep. So if you look at the sign that the new moon is in, and keep in mind the moon changes sign every 2 to 3 days, I think it is. So it's a really quick progression, but you can take a look at the new moon in. Look at the general theme for that new moon, and it may help guide you with what you're actually looking to do. And that's a great way to do it. Sometimes it's going to guide you into like deep inner work. Sometimes it's about, if it's Leo, it's about big and bold and, whatever. So the portals, the moon and the astrological signs are all things you can totally go down a rabbit hole with. I thought about including some of that too. And I was like, all right, let's just take this nice and slow, Michelle.
Okay. And I guess like the same thing too, like if you wanted to see where it hit your houses, like as well, right? To maybe for like 1 or 2 of those intentions. Okay.
Yeah. So I am listening to a podcast right now. It's called The Moon in Carolina. You
Okay.
might want to check that out in Spotify. She did an entire episode on the houses and how that kind of impacts you. She did an entire episode on the moon phases. Some of what I shared tonight actually came directly from her podcast. So based on the questions you're asking me, it seems to me like you'd be really interested in that podcast.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? I'm so happy that you joined me. And I'm super excited for where this is leading for all of you.
I have a question.
Yes.
So on the journal prompts,
Yeah.
like, what if you just like read it and you're just sort of like, I don't know, get stuck?
Yeah. So ask yourself why you're getting stuck. What about this is getting in my way? We've talked a little bit, sometimes you and I, Jen, about the like investigative journaling, where you're kind of like digging a little bit and you're like, okay, almost as if you and I are having a conversation, right? And it's like, okay, well, what's going on for you? Why can't you answer this? And you're like, well, it makes me anxious. Well, what about it makes you anxious? Well, I don't like to think about X, Y, and Z, or you know what I mean? And or that's something that we tackle together when we have a session.
Mhm.
For sure.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
Because we are meeting next week, right? So you
Yeah.
and I can tackle whatever you're looking at
Yeah.
and nervous about.
So the kind of plan is to like each day, think about these different prompts.
Yeah, if you can take a few minutes, this is really about getting to know yourself on a I almost don't think of it as a deeper level, but it's like a reconnection.
Mhm.
So you know all these answers. You've just kind of like forgotten them, or other things have gotten in the way of you remembering this stuff for
Mhm.
yourself.
Mhm.
Sometimes, like when you ask someone what brings you lots and lots of joy, a lot of people have trouble with that because they are so disconnected from joy that they're like, well, I don't know what brings me joy. Nothing brings me joy. Something brings you joy. You've just been really disconnected from that thing, that so disconnected that you're not remembering. So our job together then is to reconnect, to find our way back to those things. Keep answering the other questions. Maybe that will help support going back to that question.
Mhm.
Once you like start to think about other different areas, it might be like, oh, well, I remember that I used to love to paint when I was a kid, and I haven't picked up a
Mhm.
paintbrush in 25 years.
Mhm.
Maybe that's something that is connective for you.
And so the free write is sort of separate from the
Free
journal
write is
prompt.
separate. Free write is just kind of like what is going on. So maybe you even journal about your journaling experience. You're like, well, I had a really hard time answering my prompt today, and
Yeah.
it made me super frustrated. And like, just document it. You don't need to answer every question for yourself,
Mhm.
but if you document it, it will lend to the work that you're doing, if that makes sense.
It does.
Okay. Anyone else or anything further, Jen? All right.
Oh, I'm sure I'll have some things that
Well, send them to me. And if we start a group, put everything in there because I'm sure if you have the questions, other people do
Yeah.
too.
I
So
think a group would be a great idea. I mean, I think it'd be nice to have a group be able
I
to.
am very happy to put it together. I just didn't want to have anybody feel like forced into having to
Right.
sit in a space that
Yeah.
they didn't want
Yeah.
to. So I'm happy to put something together. All right. Everyone have a wonderful, happy new year and like a super relaxing and awesome January. And I will see you soon.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Love you guys.
Thank you,
Yeah, be
Michelle.
back.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay,
Good
so
to
it's
see
Daisy.
you.
Thank you. Good to see you too.